Tauquir Ahmad. He is a Harley Street aesthetic surgeon, and he will be giving us a bit of an insight on what that means, and where we're at this moment in time with non-surgical aesthetic surgery. Welcome to the show, Ahmed. It's lovely to have you on the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to join you.
No, that's wonderful. I'm going to go straight in, and because just for you to just give us a little bit of insight into, what you do and how you came to, where you are now, and in terms of aesthetics.
So I started off back in 2003. So that's going back 18 years. And when I think about it, oh my gosh, that's been a long time, hasn't it, in my life. I think I discovered aesthetics just purely by accident. There was, at that time, there was talk of a new evolving field in medicine, and they were inviting doctors to come along and see if they were interested. And I went along, and I think, I don't know, something, it just appealed to me. And I started from them, and I just watched it evolve over these years, and I decided then to make a career of it. And when I decided to make a career of it, Rohema, I then took the steps of being actively involved in education and educating myself, and a lot of it was self-education because there wasn't that much out there, and attending various courses, phenomena, lectures, conferences, and embarking upon a self-study program to see where this field was going. And to this day, it is still a learning, it's still learning. I originally, when we first came out, aesthetics was just about a bit of Botox and some fillers, and that's what it was. But over the years, it evolved, and as I was doing the study and I was attending the conferences and I was speaking to, peer groups that were involved or companies that were involved in aesthetics that were manufacturing devices, and the research and the plans that they had, I quickly came to realize that this is going to be, the non-surgical field is going to be vast, it's going to be growing, and it literally has. And it grew slowly, but I think in the last few years it's mushroomed. There's been a far wider, acknowledgement and an awareness of this. I think social media has got a big role to play with this. And I think the audience out there know that everybody's on Instagram these days, checking lips, checking faces, checking bodies, checking hair, everything,
I was going to say, a lot of young people these days are looking towards, changing their features. Not just, and doing that. At first it was in a major way, but then they've realized that actually you don't need to do things that dramatically, that aesthetics is a good way to make those changes to, for several different reasons, and I'm sure you'll come on to that a little bit later, but obviously, it has become much more popular over the last 20 years. And you working in your field as a professional, and particularly with Asian skin, because it is different.
It is different. You're absolutely right. What I realized over this period of time, and we asked me about my journey into aesthetics taught me this, that there's 4 different aspects, Rohema, to aesthetics, and I'm talking about non-surgical aesthetics for the audience out there. There's your skin, which includes various conditions, whether it's pigmentation, whether it's active acne or acne scarring, whether it is dealing with scarring, dealing with stretch marks, dealing with rosacea, dealing with psoriasis now. These are all what we would, some of these used to be clinical dermatology and still are, but a lot of it now we're seeing this in aesthetic dermatology with the evolving new techniques that are available to treat these. Apart from the skin, we have the face, and in the face, a lot of issues that we're coming on with is facial contouring. Now, in facial contouring, it's, as you mentioned, people are coming to us about wanting to change their features, but a lot of people are coming back to us and saying, I'm aging, or, I'm noticing this is falling, or this is drooping. And you know, beautiful facial aesthetics is about restoring your original features. It's not about creating new features. The key to it is restoring features. It's looking in the mirror and seeing a face you saw a few years back. That's when you know when you've done, you know, the right thing. And I think it's all about taking the patient from being conscious to confident. As well as the face, the other big area now is the body. Non-surgical body contouring is now a big thing, whether it's weight off your tummy, it's weight off your arms, it's on your legs, it's on your thighs, it's your love handles. You know, males have a lot of chest reductions. Again, that's evolved, and it's now become a fine art, and more of recently we're now able even to offer muscle definition. So that, yes, body sculpture in the true sense of the word. But I have to say that the biggest, you know, people would think that, oh gosh, Botox and fillers is the biggest thing in aesthetics. Well, in my practice, the largest number of patients that I see are for hair, and it's for non-surgical hair rejuvenation. And it's not just about transplants, it's about stopping hair loss. It's about regrowing or re-nurturing your follicles, to regrow your hair that's out there, to increase the density, to prevent the requirements for transplants, or if you have had a transplant, to prevent the need for further transplants. And I think that has been, in my sort of experience in the last 2-3 years, the largest advances have been made in non-surgical hair restoration. Aesthetics, when we're doing aesthetics, I have this philosophy of I'd love to listen to my patient. I like to see what it is that they're actually looking for. And firstly, is their expectation realistic? A lot of it is confidence. Yes. And people want to go from being conscious to being confident. And 90% of my assessment is a psychological evaluation. Can this patient embark upon this journey? Are their expectations realistic? Secondly, do we actually have the treatment profiles available to be able to deliver what this patient is looking for? And finally, it's all private practice. Is this within the defined budget that this person can come together? And the most important part of aesthetics is that initial consultation where you learn to manage the expectations, you understand your patient, what they're looking for, the patient understands what can be delivered, over what time period it can be delivered, and what the potential success results are for it. It's a great footing to sit down and, to build a working relationship, because with aesthetics, we find that our patient, it's not a one-time interaction. Your patient's attending for multiple visits, and once they've had their treatment, they will be coming back for maintenance treatments. And it's if it's not one thing, it's another thing. If it's not the hair, guess what? Oh, doc, my tummy's got a bit big, or you know what? I've got a wedding coming up. Can I get this most amazing sort of peel or laser?
An age demographic to the people that predominantly come together. I mean, because as you said, there are 4 different types, and there's also many different reasons as to why people choose aesthetics. And as you say, one of them is maybe they want to look absolutely fabulous for their wedding day, the day that's going to mean everything to them, and for some people it's, as you say, hair loss. It is going from what they see is what's going to make them confident. It's just as people have their dentures, their teeth straightened because they don't like, they feel more confident if they can give a nice bright smile. So aesthetics, along with everything else, and looking at it is also about your mental health. And
it is about your mental health, and that is what that tends to bring people down. And I have to agree with you. And I think, just going back 5 minutes, I said the first thing that we do is a psychological evaluation of why this patient is here, what are they looking for. And it's that journey of taking your patient from, the patient will work with you. The patient will work with you over 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to get there. And during this time, this patient, as well as looking for the results, they're going on this mental journey. They're getting prepared. They're thinking, great, I'm going to be like this. I'm going to be feeling like this. And you've got to match that. You've got to be able to uphold that. You cannot afford to let them down. It's vitally important, because it's the impact that it's going to have on the very reason that they turned up for you on the first time round.
I mean, your practice, it's in Harley Street.
Yes.
And just by having, you know, it does bring confidence. Just as you would say, like, you know, if I have a bit of Botox, I probably could get rid of this dent in the middle of my head. But, you know, Harley Street itself, just, you know, that does encourage you to feel confident about the business. But your expertise is very different to the normal channels in how you, not just how you address your, you know, the client, but in what you see is managing their expectations,
yeah.
but also looking at the whole. It's more of a whole therapy than
Absolutely.
Just,
it is.
You know, here's an injection for Botox. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll see you next month or in 3 months' time.
So it's a
holistic in your outlook.
it is a holistic approach, and it's also important to be able to do profiling. When you change or you restore one feature, it's very important to let the patient know that as a consequence of this, this is how you are going to look now. The big thing now is big lips. You know, people are coming, oh, doc, I want my lips done, I want my lips done. And despite reassurances when we say you have beautiful lips and you don't need this, but if they're wanting to have it done, you could create the most beautiful lips for somebody out there, but they might not be happy because the lips look absolutely fantastic, but they don't look fantastic on that face. Do you understand?
Yes.
The chin to lip ratio has changed. The ratio from the nose, the angle from the nose, the chin has changed. You've changed a natural dimension, so you've got to make them aware that, do you know, when you do that, do you realize that your chin is not going to look right? Then you are going to have to enhance this or change, you know, you're going to have to work towards profiling the surrounding areas. And sometimes when I look at it, they say, and I say, well, what is it about your lips? Because lips are very popular, and they say, I just want them to look bigger. And I say, if we can make them look bigger without actually making them much bigger, because they are quite big as it is, how would that work for you? And that sort of takes them aback. And then you look at it and you realise, okay, you know what, it's a bit spread, you know, the jaw's a bit spread out here, or the chin's not over here, or the neck's a bit like this, or they just need a bit of definition at the top, I suppose. And we speak to them and say, well, how about if I put the surrounding area and made that look a bit smaller, which would automatically make the lips look bigger?
Yes.
Or, you know, how would you feel about that? And, you know, the sort of thing. And I said, and you know what, that's going to give you a far nicer, tighter surrounding area. And it works. It works in about 70% of them. They love what they come, because we're taking into consideration profiling. What is this person going to look like after you've done the treatment? It's not about a big lip. I know there's fads out there, and I think, you know, people are just, oh, look at her lips and look at this and look at that. And I'm using lips just as an example.
No, but that is one of the main, you know, facial parts that you know, young girls in particular do look at changing. And we see it from, and as you say, social, not just social media, but films, actresses, what have you. But also the fact that a lot of people, they think it's just as simple as just injecting, and they don't check out who it is that they're actually giving permission to make those changes. And therefore, you know, up until now it's been an unregulated.
One of the saddest things in this mushroom of aesthetics is the non-regulation of this industry,
Yes.
Rohema, and it's very sad to see that you can go on a one-day course and learn how to inject. It's not about learning how to inject. I could take you on a one-day course and show you how to inject. It wouldn't be difficult. But it's not about injecting. It's about being an aesthetic artist.
We're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, we're going to go, dig a little bit deeper into the unregulated side of things, but why it's really important to have a specialist to do the work, because that's where it's going. So please join us after the break, viewers, and we'll be back shortly. Thank you.
We are back, folks. We can see people again. Can you believe it?
Now, we all love finding money, which is why I got myself a metal detector. And I take it on holiday with me. I love walking up and down that beach, searching for hidden treasure. And I found some once. A gold watch, a ring, some coins. I was delighted. The guy whose trousers they were in, he was furious.
Rewashing glasses after the dishwasher? Absurd. Add Finish Rinse Aid to help prevent water spots on glasses. For better drying and shine. Finish. For brilliant shine.
গ্রিন স্ট্রিট মাছ বাজার শত বাজারের ভিড়ে গ্রিন স্ট্রিট মাছ বাজারই দিচ্ছে দেশি মাছের সেরা বাজার ইফকো সহ সব ব্র্যান্ডের মাছ পাবেন হোলসেল প্রাইসে তাছাড়া ফ্রোজেন শাকসবজি থেকে শুরু করে আছে নানা আয়োজন সেরা মাছের সেরা বাজার গ্রিন স্ট্রিট মাছ বাজার হোলসেল বাজারের পাশে গ্রিন স্ট্রিট মাছ বাজার 56 এ গ্রিন স্ট্রিট লন্ডন E7 8BZ
সিলেটের জাকিগঞ্জ উপজেলার ঐতিহ্যবাহী শাহবাগ জামিয়া মাদানিয়া কাসিমুল উলুম মাদ্রাসা ও এতিমখানার উপস্থিত 1975 সালের এই মাদ্রাসাটি এই অঞ্চলের মানুষের আশার আলো হয়ে জন্ম নেয় প্রতিষ্ঠার পর থেকেই মাদ্রাসাটি এই উপমহাদেশের দ্বীনি শিক্ষা প্রসারে রেখে চলেছে অনন্য অবদান এলাকার দুঃখী দরিদ্র এতিম শিশু কিশোরদের থাকা খাওয়া শিক্ষা ও চিকিৎসা প্রদান করে আসছে মাদ্রাসাটি আপনাদের সাহায্যের কারণে মাদ্রাসাটি দিন দিন সামনের দিকে এগিয়ে চলেছে বর্তমানে মাদ্রাসাটির কার্যক্রম বৃদ্ধি পাওয়ায় প্রয়োজন আরো সাহায্য হাফিজ স্পন্সর 250 পাউন্ড করে 3 বছরে 750 পাউন্ড
এত বিশাল জমাত এরা রাত দোয়া যেসময় আল্লাহর দরবার দোয়া করবা আল্লাহ তাআলা সাইজ করতে নাই আমরা আশা এখানে আমি আমার সব দিনদার ভাই হল বই হল মা হল আলোচ করিয়া আমরা দিল খুলিয়া এই এতিমখানার লাগিয়া এই দিনের প্রতিষ্ঠান লাগিয়া ইলমে নববীর খেদমত লাগিয়া কুরআন আর হাদিসত সাহায্য লাগিয়া এই প্রতিষ্ঠান আপনারা দিল খুলিয়া সাহায্য করতা
শাহবাগ জামিয়া মাদানিয়া কাসিমুল উলুম মাদ্রাসা ও এতিমখানার পাশে দাঁড়িয়ে গরিব ও এতিম শিশু কিশোরদের সাহায্যের হাত বাড়িয়ে দিন আল্লাহ আপনার দানকে কবুল করুক আমিন
ঐতিহ্যবাহী সিএনএস হোম স্টোরের পক্ষ থেকে সবাইকে ক্রিসমাস ও নতুন বছরের শুভেচ্ছা প্রতিবারের মতো নিউ ইয়ার সেলে থাকছে হিউজ ডিসকাউন্ট অন মেনি সিলেক্টেড প্রোডাক্ট সব ধরনের হোম প্রোডাক্ট কেটারিং ও ইলেকট্রনিক সামগ্রীর জন্য সিএনএস হোম স্টোরের জুড়ে নেই নতুন বছরের নতুন সাজ নিয়ে আসতে সিএনএস হোম স্টোরের এই নিউ ইয়ার সেলের সুবর্ণ সুযোগ নিন
We've been serving the community for the last 45 years and we look forward to serving you for many more years to come.
গৌরবের 45 বছর সিএনএস হোম স্টোর সোহো রোড বার্মিংহাম
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Chai with Rohema. We're still in the studio today with Dr. Mohammed Tauquir and we are Ahmed and we are still talking about aesthetics. Just before we came to that abrupt break, I'm really sorry about that, we were talking about the actual industry as in the regulation of the industry and it is an industry but please, can you tell us a little bit more about what your findings were and why regulation is so important and why it's so important also to acknowledge the difference between those that are experts in their field and those who are, as we say, amateur Botox injectors or those who are just trying with this one-day course to think that they're obviously professional. Not only that, what the harm is as well as...
Okay. Well, again, Rohema, I have to say that aesthetics is, again, it's not just about Botox and fillers. It's about facial contouring. It's about body contouring. It's about non-surgical hair rejuvenation. And it's managing skin conditions. such as pigmentation and acne and scarring, etc. Now, if you're going to see somebody about a treatment, I think if it was my face or my body, I would probably just want the best. Now, and people with experience that have been in the industry for a long time, they know what they're doing, and you know they've got a 360 view of the patient as a whole. Unfortunately, one aspect of the aesthetics industry, which is just the sort of injectable side, is the one that seems to have taken a big commercial flair from this. Yes. And that is the unregulated side, but the government now is acknowledging this and has done so for many years, but seems to be a bit slow in taking action. And there are organisations out there such as the JCCP, the Joint Council for Cosmetic Practitioners. Safe Face is an organisation where you have accredited doctors and practitioners on there as well. And it's worth doing a bit of research onto who you're going to see. Are they accredited? Are they insured? Ask them what level of experience do they have. You know, it's vitally important that you are putting your face or your body or your hair in somebody's hands. I mean, absolutely. What is the price? You know, what is the price of your face? I think it's priceless. So why take a chance for £50 or £100 just to take that? You know, we spend more than that on a night out or on a good meal. You know, and this is our face, which is a permanent feature. Unfortunately, 50% of my work has been corrections. So people are coming to me when things have gone wrong elsewhere. Doc, this has happened and that's happened. They tend to find us in Harley Street, where we're based. And I think they take that as a sense of reassurance, maybe some sort of validation that when we're going there that we're going to get somebody that knows what they're doing, apart from the fact that most practices in Harley Street are very rigid in who they will have in their practices. And I just look forward to the day that the regulations are going to come in force when that those that are practicing will be regulated. I know there's exams now being set for all those that are coming in.
Some rules to come in.
And it will be coming in. But the public as a whole, and my request to you is, do your background and do your research on the person that you're going to see. And if your sixth sense says there's something not right here, it's probably right. You know, and I think, Rohema, what we need to, it's really up until the government doesn't put the regulations down, it's just up to us being sensible about how we do that.
I think it's very important, as that we also understand that it's not just the vanity aspects of it, and that people go not just for corrections either. I mean, as you said, how hair, facial. It's a lot to do with confidence, but it's a lot to do with also just for the mental state of mind, for them to actually
absolutely
accept changes.
Absolutely. Not is it only the mental state of mind, but also the physical state of mind. As an Asian population, we are 7 times more susceptible to have diabetes.
Yes.
And diabetes, and midriff, weight increases it even further. We have high proportions of hypertensives and heart diseases. Now, losing weight, especially around the midriff, it will improve your diabetes, decrease your chances of having diabetes. It will have less impact than arthritis on your joints. There is a health impact.
Yes.
And and the skin, again, it's not vanity. The skin is the largest organ in the body, just like any other organ, like your liver, like your heart. It's an organ and it has diseases. Like I said before, pigmentation, acne, psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, whatever it is. And these are conditions that need to be managed.
Yes, absolutely.
The pressure on the NHS to manage a lot of these things is so high that they're now not dealing with certain conditions. They're putting it down as cosmetic because they know there's private treatments available out there. And again, these things need to be managed. It does affect people. It does affect their confidence. It does affect their well-being. But, sometimes when people are coming to us, we do an assessment. If someone's coming with hair loss, I hope they're not thyroid, I hope they don't have iron deficiency anemia, I hope their vitamin B12 levels are okay when they're coming to us for pigmentary changes. Are there any background hormonal problems? Are the vitamin D levels okay? There's a whole host of things. Are their iron levels okay that we're checking? So it is still a medical check for medical treatments that are going to happen in there. And done well and done properly, it is quite involved. There's a lot of work involved in it. There's a lot of expertise involved in it. I'm turning up to one-day courses, for a skin peel or a bit of this and a bit of that, or a bit of mesotherapy on the hair, or a bit of this. That's not the solution. It's not the answer.
Absolutely not.
And the work that I've done, like I said, there's a lot of self-study. I was involved, with traveling to a subcontinent a lot. I got invited over because over there aesthetics is just sort of following us. It's about 3 years behind, or 2-3 years. And I helped give advice and consultancy, setting up clinics. And over the period of 5 years, 6 years, was traveling regularly. I think I must have treated about 5,000 to 6,000 patients with pigmentation over there and helped doctors to do that. And when I look back at it, and I think it was probably one of the best learning curves, because at that point I researched all the latest and the newest treatments out. I mean, we're working very closely with the Koreans and the Americans about stem cell therapies now, and topicals, injectables for skin, for hair, bringing in no downtime peels, lasers that are suitable for Asian skin. And one of the things that I realized was, I think over here, it's not that some of the doctors don't want to treat the people, but I just think that they've not had that exposure, or they've not had that level of confidence to be able to go out there. I now see most of my work, I have to say, is done with dealing with a lot of Asian clients, because through word of mouth they've realized that, well, actually there's someone out there that understands and manages our skin, the type it is, and what's good for us and what's not. And more importantly, I think the challenges that Asian skin offered, which normal white Caucasian skin doesn't offer, forced me to study, forced me to find alternative solutions, and I'm glad I did do it, and we're now having amazing results. And I have to hand it to the Koreans. No one can touch the Koreans in skincare. I really do.
I mean, as you said, you've travelled extensively around South Asia, and over 5,000. You've treated over 5,000 people, or studied over 5,000 people with regards to certain skin conditions. In your opinion, obviously, we've touched on, what therapies, have come in most recently that would address a lot of the, more minor issues, but are specifically for Asian.
I think the biggest advance in skin treatments for Asian skins has been the dealing of pigmentation, the dealing of dark circles, and our sort of female pattern baldness. Male pattern baldness has always been there. That's been there. These have sort of seen it's evolving of no downtime treatments, which are able to deliver those results where we could get with heavier peels and old-fashioned lasers. We now have fractional lasers designed for Asian skin. We have no downtime peels with stem cell products in there. We have stem cell home care products in there, stem cell conditioned media that can be injected into these areas to reverse changes. And it's when I was there, skin whitening and whitening injection seems to be a big thing in the subcontinent. I did a lot of counselling and work over there, and I said to him, look, there's 3 big supermodels in the world: Naomi Campbell, Will Smith, Tyra Clark, and none of them have whitening injections done. They're African Americans. They love their skin, but guess what? It's radiant, it's shining, and it's glowing, and it's that radiance, it's that glow from within which gives the beauty. So it's not the colour of the skin, it's the fact that it's two-toned, it's a different, it's a bit blotchy, it's not shining. Once they start to accept that side of things, and there is so much out there that we can do with regards to that, a little bit of treatment, good home care products, a good diet, followed by some traditional dadis, desi totke, which I still believe firmly in. I still have patients, even over here, that when they're having my treatment, that I give them the yogurt, the cinnamon, the honey, the black seed oil mixtures to apply at night time, in addition to what we're doing with conventional medicine.
Absolutely, and that's why I said, one of the things that I really admire about you is the holistic approach. That it's not just a surgical or a medical approach, but you look at it and say, well, okay, and again, as you say, one of the main areas, particularly within Asians, is skin pigmentation, the changes, with dark circles, is hair loss. How many people have I spoken to that say, well, my hairline's receding or I've lost my hair, and they're only in their early 20s.
Absolutely.
And it's, and you can see why, they want to do something about it, because, they're still young, and, whether you tell them, are you over treating your hair or whatever, but some of these things are through sheer illnesses, through diseases that, you wouldn't see in the forefront, but someone like a dermatologist like yourself would be able to see that and say, well, okay, these are the treatments that we need to work on in order to give you that healthy scalp or healthy skin that you so desire. And it may not be about injections or laser treatments. It may just be that as you said, aesthetics works in all areas, not just on the skin, but under the skin also.
Absolutely. And, it's, I think, a big problem with from subcontinent, I really see is just centripetal obesity that's over here. And I can't emphasize enough, I mean, people look at me and say, he's still got weight on. But when I was doing the research and the study, I took about a stone off just my midriff, did it all non-surgically with the machines, with the tightenings, etc., and an improved diet, and a little bit more to go, etc. there just now. But I felt so much better, after having done it, and the impact it does have on quality of life. There's no ifs about it. And the added bonus is it makes you feel better about yourself. It really does. But it's definitely, I have to say that the requirements of us Asians is very, very different, and it does require a bit of additional experience to come out there and to do that. My team here is geared up also, my doctors and my therapists and my nurses are all geared up in how to manage Asian skin, and the confidence levels are absolutely amazing in how we're doing it.
If they, obviously, we didn't quite get onto what the demographics were. Are there more men or women, or are there ages in particular that reach out to you for your services? With the younger generation, I totally understand, and they're still into that experiment stage, and unfortunately, like as we touched upon a little bit earlier, trying to experiment without actually finding out who you're putting yourself in the hands of is not only dangerous, but it's more unethical than the ethics itself of setting up. So,
from a demographic, if you do it from an age perspective, I have to say that the ages start from 18 and they go all the way up to 65, 70. Mm-hmm. And I think they're probably all in equal proportions. For, like I said, aesthetics, it's such a vast array of treatments that we do. We do stretch marks, dark circles, Botox, fillers, pigmentation, acne, scarring, hair rejuvenation, body contouring, muscle definition. So we've got a whole...
going to go to another break. I look forward to seeing our viewers after the break, and we will talk a little bit more about what can be seen and what can be done in certain areas. Thank you. Please join us again after the break.
Starting out at work is a real chance to grow and learn. So we started offering apprenticeships, including a funded degree course. Now we're adding youth workers to our communities to give life skills and career advice. Soon it'll be an entire support network across 1,300 UK restaurants. Add that to all the training we offer to over 96,000 young crew members, and well, it's easy to see that when you change a little, you change a lot.
Hello, it's me, Einstein. If you've already got a smart meter, excellent. If not, you don't want to miss out, because it makes looking after your household budgets much easier. You'll get energy bills that are accurate, not estimated. Estimated, that's not very scientific, is it? And with this little box, you can even see the energy you're using and work out where small changes could help you use less.
Request your installation. Search Get a Smart Meter today. wait is over. Mahir's mega sale starts from 1st of November. Discover an amazing selection of elegant styles and standout qualities in the mega sale. Abayas start from $9.95. Suits start from $9.95. Saris start from $19.95. Nighties start from $3.95. Menswear start from $14.95. Scarves start from £1. Stay with Mahir and wear the best. MahirLondon.com.
Hillside Travels. Not only Biman Bangladesh Airlines, Turkish Airlines or Saudi Airlines, the #1 agency to visit Bangladesh, Hillside Travels is now the main agent for Emirates Airlines. For the details and special offers, please phone our call centre. Hillside Travels, directly appointed for all major airlines. Call us on 020 8552 2033.
বিয়ের এক্সক্লুসিভ শাড়ি, লেহেঙ্গা, নতুন নতুন পোশাকের বিশাল সমাহার ইউকে শাড়ি সেন্টার।
এখানে আরো পাবেন মেন্স এন্ড চিলড্রেন্স ওয়্যার।
প্রতিটি উৎসবে রাঙিয়ে তুলুন ইউকে শাড়ি সেন্টারের আধুনিক ডিজাইনের পোশাকে।
আপনার আমার সবার প্রিয় ইউকে শাড়ি সেন্টার, হোয়াইটচেপেল, লন্ডন। পূর্ব লন্ডনের সবচেয়ে পুরনো এবং বিশ্বস্ত 30 বছরের বেশি সময় ধরে কমিউনিটি সেবা দিয়ে যাচ্ছে রহিমস। আমাদের দুটি শাখা মাইল্যান্ড এবং হ্যাকনি উইকস খোলা থাকছে সপ্তাহে 7 দিন, সকাল 9টা থেকে রাত 9টা। অভিজ্ঞতা সম্পন্ন রহিমসই দিতে পারে বেস্ট কোয়ালিটি প্রোডাক্টস এট দ্য বেস্ট প্রাইস, অল আন্ডার ওয়ান রুফ, ফর রিটেল, রেস্টুরেন্ট, কেটারিং এন্ড হোলসেল কাস্টমার। তাই আপনার বিশ্বস্ত শপিং এর জন্য রহিমস আছে আপনার পাশে। রহিমস, আরো বেশি সস্তায় আরো বেশি শপিং।
সাসা লন্ডন ফিশ বাজারে মাছের সেল লাগাইছে। দূর বেটা, আমরা তো এগুলোর মাছ পাই না। না সাসা, কোয়ালিটি ফিশ সেল লাগাইছে।
হাসানি, তাহলে চলো দেখে আসি।
মাছের সাগর লন্ডন ফিশ বাজার আবারও নিয়ে এলো মেগা সেল অফার। 23 অক্টোবর থেকে 7 নভেম্বর প্রতিদিন শপিং এ রয়েছে নিশ্চিত পুরস্কার। লন্ডনের সবচেয়ে বড় ফিশ বাজারে ফ্রি পার্কিং এর সুবিধা নিয়ে আজই চলে আসুন গ্রিন স্ট্রিটে। গ্যারান্টেড কোয়ালিটি মাছের সেরা বাজার লন্ডন ফিশ বাজার।
After the much awaited lockdown lift, we are back. Back with so much more to offer. We have now introduced our very own in-house catering. Along with this, we now have our brand new bridal room. This means the brides can spend a little extra time with her bridesmaids and family. Call Impression now on 020 747 34455 to book now and avoid disappointment.
40 years of service to the community. Paul Jewellers, a family jeweller with years of perfection and trust, with the most modern and sophisticated design. For weddings or parties, visit Paul Jewellers and experience the most authentic, contemporary and traditional designs for all tastes. For exciting designs and quality jewellery in pure gold, platinum and diamonds, it's Paul Jewellers, Soho Road, Birmingham.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Chai with Rohema, and with me is Dr. Mohammed Tauquir Ahmad, who is an aesthetic surgeon in Harley Street. Just during our break, I was surprised to know that you are a grandfather. You have 5 grandchildren.
I am indeed,
and,
mashallah.
Mashallah, that's wonderful. And we were talking about, I know of lots of men who would, want to do something, particularly, as you say, we're more prone to having diabetes type 2. We're more prone to many of these other different things, and would perhaps want to look at ways that would help them enormously. I mean, you were talking a little bit earlier about just losing some weight around the midriff. Believe me, it's not just women that crave that. I know, a lot of men, it would help them to be more healthy in that way. So I'm just going to ask you just briefly, what about the demographics? Is it, the assumption would be there'd be more women looking to aesthetics. But is that the true fact?
What percentage ratio do you think it is, the male to female ratio of our patients?
Well, I think men are a bit shy in coming forward, so whereas women think it's the norm. So
I'm going to give you figures that are going to shock you. 45% of our patients are female, 55% are male.
55% are male?
55% of our patients are male, and and they come in for exactly the same things that the females come in for, except for maybe not as many lips, but we still have men coming in for the lips. And I mention lips to the audience because the audience seems to know lips, but when it comes to hair, when it comes to sort of body contouring, it's more of a male-orientated market, especially with hair. The other thing, Rohema, is that male facial contouring, it's a very different aesthetic art to female facial contouring. We have different jaw structures, different chin line sort of structures, where treating the cheek enhancement is different. In females it's anteriorly, in males it's posteriorly. We are enhancing different features. We're not wanting a V shape, we're wanting a square chisel jaw. It's very different. So it's creating that male contour. The male body is it's going to be a very different outcome from the female body. So when we're dissolving fat and when we're sort of tightening and we're giving contouring, we're giving them a different shape than we are from the females. It is, the whole male contouring thing is very different. So we have female contouring, and then we have the male contouring, whether it's your hair, whether it's your face or it's your body. In addition to it, Rohema, as well as being able to offer bespoke sort of male treatments and male aesthetics as a speciality and an entity on its own, we're also able to advise on Asian skin versus Caucasian skin. I'm not saying all my patients are Asians. What I am saying is I've got about 60% Asian patient flow coming through, and maybe 40% is coming through as what you would call Caucasian patients.
Well, your name kept coming up. I mean, a number of times for this show, that because a lot of young people were looking at Buddhism and other accentuations, I was doing some research, and your name came up several times. And that's why I thought, well, must have you on the show. Your specialisms in Asian skin is unique. It shouldn't be, but it is. And the fact that it's not surgical contouring that you specifically look at. It is using apparatus that
we use machines, whether it's for face, whether it's for body, whether it's for face. We're using injectables. It's all non-surgical type of treatments. But another important factor is that, as well as sort of being able to do female and male contouring, we're then also able to offer special bespoke treatments for the Asian skin. But another important factor is it within our cultural norms? Remember I said the whole psychological journey, the whole psychological evaluation we do. Is it within our cultural norms? Is this person going to feel comfortable? Or are they going to feel comfortable going back to their family, their friends, and going out to a wedding and an event? And when you put it all together, I think just through work and through default, I've built up a following of a large following out there, and every doctor has their own niche and their own market, etc. And I think I've fallen into the way I fell into aesthetics. I've then went again and taken another fall into this side of it, and I have to say, Asian men are probably my largest market.
Well, that did surprise me about the percentage, but it doesn't surprise me that men, in this day and age, because there is a big market out there where there used to be just women's skin products, whereas now it's male grooming, not just female grooming. That's very important, especially with the next coming up generations. And as I said to you earlier on, I think the young are a bit more in tune with what they want to look like, or what feels to them that if they can make a change or make a difference that would give them more confidence, they are much more in tune with that. My concern was to make sure that when they decide to make that leap, whether they be young or whether they be old, that they go to somebody that they can trust, and that they can be assured that it's not just money that's the important thing. It's the whole mindset and the, you know, as I keep saying, the whole holistic journey, you know, through aesthetics, where you yourself have guided people along the way and to ensure that they are happy with the result. So you do all the work, preliminary work, beforehand.
It's important that, you know, we've got there's 3 fundamental principles that I hold within the practice, and we have a practice in Harley Street, and we have one opening up in Manchester, inshallah, and our Glasgow centre is opening up, inshallah. We've got 5 or 6 centres opening up in the space of the next year, and our Harley Street's actually, we're opening up our 2nd centre in Harley Street as well now, alhamdulillah, so we're doing well. And the reason for that is there's 3 fundamental principles. We only use evidence-backed medicine. There are scientific studies that back the treatments that we do, and we take responsibility for our results.
That's fantastic.
And you know, and if we're not able to deliver, we won't start. And if we say we are going to be able to, that's usually after careful consideration. And there has been times that you don't get it right. It doesn't happen in 6 sessions. It's taken 7 or 8. But we'll never say that to our patient. We'll say, look, we're nearly there. It's fine. I know I said 6, but look, would you be kind enough just to give me the time and to offer you another 1 or 2 sessions to get you there? And no, I'm not going to charge you. Let's just get it done. And it's that taking responsibility for your results and that smile and that outcome at the end. And I have to say that every time that I've done that I think every single one of the patients said, no doc, you're not going to pay for that, I want to pay for that. And it's never been an issue for us, because, you know, when you take responsibility for your work, it's not just about, you know, and like you said, it's not just about the money, it's not just about anything else. It's this whole approach. My patient is nearly there, his psychological journey is nearly there, he can nearly see the end, you know, so what, you know, what's stopping him? And honestly, I have to say that we have more happiness to see our patient like that than the patient themselves does.
Well, absolutely, and obviously they'll come back, because, you know, undoubtedly when you start with one thing, you find there's something else, as you said. You know, you might need something else that needs a little bit of attention. And, you know, as we grow older, you know, we all need a little bit of help here and there, whether it's with dieting, whether it's with facials, creams.
Medicated facials are a big thing now. And, you know, this hydrofacial is a very big thing now. Carbon laser facial is a very big thing. You know, those that come to me, I know what they're looking for, and I realise that what they're looking for, yes, they might get it, but you know what, if we added a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I can't help it, it's like the old Desi Hakeems, you open the cupboards up, no, actually, for this one, add a little bit of this and a little bit of that, because I know that's what works for us.
Absolutely.
And it goes through, you know, so it's been a lovely journey for me, and I love my work, I love my patients, but I have to say, Asian patients are some of the most demanding and hard work.
Oh, definitely. You know, as you say, it's been, you know, a long journey, but one that you've enjoyed and you're accomplished at. And of course, you know, we want to see that the success is growing. So Glasgow, Manchester, another one in Harley Street.
And we've got one in Birmingham coming up, and one in Edinburgh as well, inshallah.
Oh, inshallah.
So it's a big project. So I've taken on board, and I'm doing one-to-one training with our doctors, bringing them board. They're getting a lot of background studying, etc. And then they're going to be doing a mentorship, apprenticeship program at our flagship in Harley Street, where they'll learn, and then they'll be sort of out there, you know, supported. And I want to pass on my knowledge of what I've learned, you know, to the juniors out there. That's how knowledge passes. Want them to be actively involved in research as well, work with me, you know, spread out what we've learned out there. And it's all about the patients. It's what can we do for the patients, what's new for our patients, what looks amazing for the patients. The secret, I think, in the work is, and I think why a lot of my patients are very happy, is that it's about getting them to look in the mirror and to see a face that they saw 10 years ago and think, I don't want anybody to say to my patient, oh my gosh, what have you had done? I would love people to say, oh my God, you look amazing. You look very fresh, and not have an idea. It's all about taking it back. You know, when we go back, when we want to get something done, why is it? We look at an old picture and go, oh, I used to be like this.
Yeah.
Well, if we can get as close to that old picture, I think we've done really well.
Oh, I always say, I wish I was as fat as the first time I thought I was. I'd be so much trimmer now. But again, it's been such a pleasure, to listen to your journey and to your story, because it's so important that our viewers out there, if there was one piece of advice you would want to give them in reaching out, or if there's something that you would say to them, what would that be? What bit of advice would you give to somebody who's considering it? Whether it's with rejuvenating their hair or the scalp, or whether it's, doing some facial contouring, what would you advise them to do? You said about doing some research and
absolutely, and that's
to understand, I guess.
Absolutely, I think the most important thing that that the viewers or the public in general can do out there is please research your practitioner, your doctor, your nurse, whoever it is that you're going to treatments. Be open, discuss your expectations, ask them how much knowledge they have, ask them how many patients with this condition they have treated, and what will happen if it doesn't go to plan. I have this philosophy: if you can't manage the complications, don't do the treatment.
Oh, that's a wonderful philosophy. That's great. Because I think that's absolutely right, and and it's important that you trust the person within whom you're putting your face, your hands, your body, too, for these changes. But it's such a new area that people may even want to consider, learning about or taking up as a career. As we said, that some of the regulatory bodies are now looking at regulation, and I think in April next year we should have some changes put in place. I know government, particularly this year, was looking at that. We hope to see that's true, but in a certain way, from your angle, where you're coming from, ethics is at the very heart.
Absolutely.
And that is something that you, for love of money, it's not there. If ethics is not in your heart, then it's hard to buy. And I think that's to your credit. And as I said, my research showed me that your name kept coming up again and again with with people who were so happy with the results, and have constantly said that with the changes they're so happy with them. But it's the treatment, not only the before but also the after treatment, because you tend to go that extra mile, and that's really important, very and very good to hear.
I think that was just being a human being, and that's where being a doctor in aesthetics gives you that edge, because your bedside manner, your aftercare. We didn't go to university just to do that 10 minutes of treatment. It's the years of training that went behind to develop this mindset, this attitude towards patient care, the skill base in managing a patient's condition, in assessing it, in diagnosing it, in making a treatment plan, in making sure that monitoring the results, and then the aftercare.
Yeah, there's a lot involved in there. It's not just one aspect. There's so much care pre and after. But if we were looking at, I was hoping that somebody might want to ring in if they had any questions. But we're coming almost to the end of the show. But I certainly would want to say to you that how you do your work and using the ethics and is so wonderful to hear, because we need those exemplary standards to which we can promote and stand by, because I think that's really important. We hear of so many bad jobs, and you were telling me earlier on that a lot of the work is correcting other people's mistakes, and that's something also. If somebody has if somebody has had some work done and it's not been pleasing or to their liking, it's very difficult to get that back again. But then again, managing expectations is also a huge part of the role. As we come to the end of the show, I want to thank you once again for joining me on today's program, and I'd just like you to have the last few words with our viewers before we come to the end of the show.
Firstly, it was a pleasure and an honour to join you here, and I thank yourself and NTV for giving me the opportunity. And for the viewers out there, I hope that anything that I've said, and if there's any words of wisdom in there, that you do take that seriously. Available through NTV and with Rohema here for anybody that has any questions or queries. And again, I can only emphasise, it's very important that that you do your research and where you're going.
Thank you, viewers, for watching in, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you once again, Dr. Ahmed, for joining us today. It's been a very wonderful and insightful program. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you again. Have a great evening. Assalamu alaikum.